Mia Carter had always been different. Born in the small town of Redwood Falls, she was the girl who never quite fit in. Slender, soft-spoken, and always lost in her books, she became an easy target for bullies. They laughed at her oversized glasses, ridiculed her thrift store clothes, and whispered about her broken family. But Mia had something they didn't, a dream. She wanted to be a journalist, an investigative one. But nobody took her seriously. Teachers dismissed her, peers ridiculed her, and even her own mother, struggling with personal challenges, would sigh and say, "Mia, life ain't a fairy tale. You better toughen up." Then, at 16, Mia disappeared. It happened on a cold October evening. Mia had been walking home from the town library when she failed to return. Her books were later found scattered on the deserted road, her phone lying cracked by the sidewalk. The town erupted in panic. Where was Mia Carter? For weeks, search parties combed through the woods. Flyers with her face covered lampposts, storefronts, and police stations. The case made the local news, but without solid leads, the investigation slowed. Most assumed she had run away, but her mother insisted something was wrong. She went on local television pleading, "If anyone knows where my baby is, please bring her home." Then, 6 months later, she returned. It was a rainy night when the sheriff's office received a call. A gas station clerk had seen a girl, thin, barefoot, and shivering in a tattered hoodie, stumbling into the store. She kept looking over her shoulder, he recalled, like someone was chasing her. It was Mia. When the police arrived, she collapsed into their arms, whispering only one thing: "He's still out there." Mia's story horrified the town. She had been taken and held in a remote cabin deep in the woods by a man they all knew, Mr. Tanner Whitmore, a local handyman. He was the kind of guy everyone greeted, but no one truly noticed. Unmarried, quiet, and living alone, he blended into the background like a shadow. Mia had been locked in his basement, surviving on minimal food, subjected to isolation beyond imagination. But she never lost hope. For months, she studied her captor, his routine, his weaknesses. And when the opportunity came, she struck. She managed to break free, running for miles through the cold, dark forest until she found the gas station. But there was a twist, one that made her case even more shocking. Authorities raided Whitmore's property the next morning. What they found sent shockwaves through the town. Hidden behind a false wall in his basement was a collection of journals, detailed accounts of Mia's captivity and, worse, of other missing individuals. Names, dates, sketches. Some had been gone for years, their cases long forgotten. Among the evidence were personal belongings from at least 5 other victims. One of the journals described in chilling detail how Whitmore had watched Mia for months before he took her, knowing she was an outcast, knowing she would not be immediately missed. But the most terrifying discovery was a hidden underground room. A room with restraints, tattered blankets, and eerie scratch marks on the walls. Authorities suspected Mia was not the first to be held there, and she may not have been the last. Then came the biggest twist of all. As investigators combed through the basement, they found a camera, one still recording. The discovery turned the case into a nationwide scandal. The footage revealed Whitmore's meticulous planning. He had studied Mia's every move before taking her, ensuring no one would suspect him. The footage also exposed the horrors within his walls, confirming Mia's testimony and providing irrefutable proof of his crimes. Tanner Whitmore was arrested, and the town erupted in shock. He pleaded not guilty, but the evidence was overwhelming. Mia's testimony was the final piece that sealed his fate. He was sentenced to multiple life terms without parole. Mia's return was not easy. She struggled with nightmares, panic attacks, and the weight of everything she had endured. But she refused to be defined by her past. Therapy helped her heal, and so did her mother, who had transformed through the ordeal, becoming Mia's strongest supporter. At first, The town didn't know how to treat her. Some looked at her with pity. Others avoided her, unsure of what to say. But then, something changed. Mia refused to hide. She spoke openly about her experience, not as a victim, but as a fighter. She began sharing her story at schools, warning young girls about the dangers of being too trusting, teaching them to be vigilant. She worked with law enforcement to help improve missing persons investigations and provided support to families still searching for their loved ones. Instead of letting the trauma define her, she used it as fuel. She became a journalist, exposing hidden cases and fighting for justice for the missing. Her story inspired millions, landing her on national television. A book deal followed, then a documentary. Her mother, now in recovery, sat beside her in interviews, tears in her eyes. "She saved herself," she said, "and now she's saving others." Mia worked tirelessly, advocating for those who had been silenced, helping pass new laws to improve investigations into missing persons cases. Her face became known worldwide. The same town that once mocked her now celebrated her. The girl they had ridiculed had become a hero, and the world knew her name, not as a victim, but as a survivor. Her story, raw and unfiltered, went viral, not because of the tragedy, but because of the triumph. Because in the end, Mia Carter was not just the girl who survived. She was the girl who won. Years later, Mia stood on a grand stage, accepting an award for her contributions to investigative journalism. The crowd gave her a standing ovation. She looked out at the sea of faces, some filled with admiration, others with awe. She smiled, remembering the bullied girl she once was, the girl who walked home alone with her books, dreaming of a future no one believed in. Now, she was living it. "To anyone who has ever felt invisible," she said, her voice unwavering, "know this, you are stronger than you think, and your story is not over yet." The applause thundered as she stepped off the stage, her past no longer a shadow, but a beacon of light guiding her forward.